Kirby Triple Deluxe is often forgotten through their comeback of Return to Dreamland and the greatness of Planet Robobot. However, I still want to make a challenge video on it. Can you beat Kirby Triple Deluxe without point stars? Let's find out. Point stars are these small collectibles. Yellows are worth 1, greens are worth 5, reds are worth 10, and blues are worth 30. The only rules in this challenge are to beat Queen Sanctonia with as few point stars as possible. I will also see how many sunstones I can collect just to see how much is possible within these rules. Without further ado, let's get into it. Starting off in Fine Field, it's important to note that there are these flowers scattered throughout the game. They give stars when touched or when hit by an ability's move, so they must be avoided at all costs. Stars that are uncovered have a few frames of intangibility, just like Return to Dreamland, which will be useful in avoiding them. 1-1 has this flower under a ceiling, but it can barely be flown over. Hypernova is this game's special gimmick, and during these sections, many point stars are thrown our way. After eating this tree, we get our first sunstone. Unfortunately, these stars block the way out. Their hitbox is much bigger than in Return to Dreamland, and no amount of pixels to the left or right allowed for an in-between landing. To remedy this, I just ate the tree again to change the RNG and have the stars spawn more favorably, so none were required. Thankfully, Hypernova doesn't suck up stars, making these sections easier than they could have been. After a block puzzle, we get the second sunstone in this stage. And after killing 3 moles, the end of the level is here. After every level, there's a goal game though. Getting even 6 out of 7 will award us with a pesky star. To safely make it past, a 0.05 second window must be pressed to get a 7 and receive no point stars. Of course, this is always possible, even if it's a bit annoying to have to do it after every level, so we can move on to 1-2. The first stone in this level is in a chest behind a breakable wall. The next section of this level has gyroscopic cannons. These allow us to get the second stone, but then make us go through these 2 stars to break this block. This is the only way to break this block. I wanted to scan Amiibo for abilities, but this game actually came out before them. None of them can break the blocks anyway, so we must get these 2 stars already in order to proceed. Whip can't dislocate stars in this game engine either without us collecting them. I had to use the intangibility frames from stars being uncovered in order to enter the room for the second stone. As well as on the way out. 1-3 introduced us grass, but I don't know what grass is, so I made sure to destroy it all.
Tactical nuke incoming!
These rockets let us get the first sun. And this gyro cannon puzzle grants us the second one. In the Hypernova section, the way ahead is blocked by 10 stars. The Seekerai only has 5 stars in the way as we can fly over the second green one. This Wrecking Ball puzzle gives us the third stone. To escape the upper route, using Hypernova from the other side of the log after bringing the block to the edge does the trick. The last sunstone is waiting for us at the end. The first stone of 1-4 is behind a simple key door. One thing to note about items is that you can't throw them nearly as far compared to Return to Dreamland. The second sun is free for the taking, while the third one wants us to bring a key across a gyro lift. These lifts barely have momentum, and even if we could do some crazy in-between jumps between these stars, there's this set of stars, so we can't get the third stone. We are now at the boss of the world, which doesn't have any stars in it, so it isn't notable. With 7 stars and the Grand Sunstone, we can move on to the second world, Lollipop Land. In 2-1, the first sunstone is just behind a wall, and the second is a simple wheel race. Soon after though, there are 2 tight corridors, each of them having 2 stars in them. Sadly, these 4 stars are unavoidable. As long as we don't destroy the third sun, it's easy to collect. In 2-2, the first sun is hard to get to and hard to make an exit from, but it's still possible. The 3D warp star gives us a point star while taking us to the second sun, so we can't collect it. The hypernova section in this level is very tricky. The third sun is just a puzzle and isn't too hard to collect. The real menacing part is the ending. We need to unravel the background, but there are several stars in the way. The background will rewind if we don't catch it within a very short time span. And the hitbox of the point stars means we have to spend a lot of time maneuvering around them. The first star is easy to avoid since we can just catch the background from its default position from behind it. These jumps are probably some of the most precise that are possible in this game. After a lot of time with slowdown and save states, I was able to get past the second star. Soon after, I was even able to get past the third star as well. Doing this gives us the fourth sunstone, and thankfully, the exit is not blocked by any of the stars. Moving on in 2-3, the first sun is ours after a somewhat tricky jump, and the second is really just a tutorial for the dynamite item. The third is also available after rescuing a key. This stage is surprisingly short. 2-4 is a spooky haunted house where our abilities get taken away. After winning a race for a key, we can get the first stone. Noticing a secret door grants the second one. The path to the third is blocked by a single star, so we can't get it. That was the last level in this world, so we can get the Grand Sunstone and move on to Old Odyssey. 3-1 has a bunch of fast trains in it, but they aren't stars, so no worries. There are also cannons in this stage that shoot us into 3 unavoidable stars. This world is being rude right off the bat. This gyro cannon section for the first stone is tough. There's only barely enough room to shoot through without collecting any stars. The next sun is in a hypernova section after eating a train. The third is found after sucking this turnip. After killing some birds, the level is over. The first sun of 3-2 is another key in a gyro lift. This time though, we can actually make it to the end. Or almost the end. The last platform we need to jump on is filled with stars. With a perfect throw, it's barely possible to get the key on the ledge. From there, we can suck the key in and successfully obtain the stone. The second is yet another key puzzle. This game is really obsessed with these keys. Probably because they don't require specific copy abilities to get. If we're smart enough not to destroy the third one, it's ours as well. 3-3 grants us with a wall of stars, but knowing they're intangible after being uncovered lets us avoid them. This 3D bar section gives us the first sun. The preceding rock section has this line of stars that is barely avoidable. Right after though, an impenetrable wall of stars blocks us from the second stone. The third one is accessible after a cannon puzzle though. In 3-4, the first sun is for an invincible Kirby. After some archery, the second one is also ours. The third one is in this windy section, and we're already at the end of the level. I know the level should be shorter to accommodate the pick up and play nature of the 3DS, but even so, these levels are very short. Now in 3-5, the world is icy, and the first sun is after a race against a cannon. The second one is also a race, but this time for a key. This level has a hypernova section, and in return for helping the snowman, they give me stars? Okay, fuck you too then. See, these snow people are much nicer and give us a sunstone for helping them. Much better. Kirby then becomes the big bad wolf and kills the 3 little D's to get the last sunstone and complete the stage. We are at this world's boss, and after beating Krakow for the upteenth time, we get the Grand Sunstone and can move on to Wild World. 4-1 opens with a weight puzzle for the first sun. The second sunstone secretly stowed away, but we can get it just fine. The third stone is just hanging around in this giant spinning tree. Why are the Waddle Dees even spinning this thing? In 4-2, the first stone is kind of just right there. After barely being able to use wheel in the wheel section, we can get the second one with no stars. The next one is in the very next room, and the level's over. 4-3 is another haunted house level. It opens with this keychain we can't get, which is a bad omen and spookier than the level's entire theme. After some rocket science, we can get the first sun. Some keys and a squeeze gets us the second stone. After beating one normal enemy in the Hypernova section, we get the third one. I think they stopped trying. The fourth one was having fun outside. Kirby joke. After some super ghost busting, we are allowed to beat the stage. 4-4 is a golden temple with many treasures in it. Most of these treasures are stars though, so we have to watch out. We can drop the first sun onto this conveyor belt and claim it for ourselves. For the second, we have to beat the mini-boss within a time limit, but it was a very lenient time limit. The third one was also easy. We need to do a quick jump off the switch before it throws us into a star to beat the level, but it isn't too hard. 5-4 immediately forces us down the small corridor with 3 unavoidable stars. Very sad. After a small puzzle, we can get the first sunstone though. The game gives us a bomb to beat this mini-boss for some reason. Another key gives us another sun. Another key. Another sun. After opening each chest carefully, I found the one with the 4th stone in it. We actually got all the sunstones in this world, so we can play the EX level. After dodging some spiky logs, the end of this swimming section is filled with unavoidable stars. Luckily, we can just quit and continue on since this level is optional. It wasn't completely useless though, as we got a hammer to kill the boss with. Now we can move on to the most interesting world in this challenge, endless explosions. 5-1 greets us with a gyro lift that we can't do, and places a key after that we're supposed to use to get the sunstone. Luckily, we can just use ice to skate across the lava, so that lift was optional. Despite the small platform with a star on it, we can get the second one though. The third one is hard, as we have to go through a star-filled wheel course under a time limit, but it's manageable. 5-2 just shows us the first sun and gives it to us. There's a lot of water here for this being a fire level. After a surprisingly tough timed dynamite puzzle, we can get the second sun. After Hypernova, Kirby does some disturbing things to the residents. We find objects similar to the logs in the first world. Luckily, these are all very large and we can fly over the spawned stars. The third stone is given for basically just watching a cutscene. We need to eat this enemy, but doing so spawns stars over the button we need to press, so unfortunately we can't get it. 5-3 is a level filled to the brim with crushers. Sadly, the cannons for the first sun lead us into a star, so it's off the table. The second one is just an easy dynamite puzzle. And for beating the last wall's timer, we get the last sun. 5-4 also has crushy bits in it. The first energy sphere requires a little bit of racketeering, key platforming, and key sucking, but is still getting added to our collection. Thankfully, the crusher bits aren't too bad as there are only a few safe spots that are covered in stars. After some more archer, we can get the second sunstone. The hypernova section is where this level gets really interesting. It has these rafts that can only be moved while sucking with hypernova. The game then puts a set of stars right below the spinning flamethrowers. Dodging in a situation like this was hard enough in World 2, but now it's even worse. Even though the raft doesn't retract, constantly taking damage and knockback will either kill us or make us get a star, unless we play perfectly. This first set of stars had 3 bunched up, so we had to get past all of them at once. The raft is just barely long enough to allow us to do this. It took a long while to get past them, but with perfect positioning and damage boosting, I was able to skip all 3 of them. The third sunstone is hidden right after that mess. There are some singular star jumps after this, but those aren't hard compared to what we just did. After slaying some dragons, we get the 4th sunstone and the exit to the level. The exit was blocked by stars, so I just beat them again to change the RNG. And again. Then I realized the star placement wasn't random. Even after all our effort with the raft, we still have to get the green 5-star to leave the level. The star is simply too big and in the way to avoid. 5-5 is just a boss rush though, and all 4 sunstones located here are simple to obtain. A nice respite from the last level. We can now fight one of the most infamous Kirby bosses, Ribbit. This frog loves to hide in the background. That isn't related to the stars, but it's still just not a fun fight. Anyway, we now have all 5 Grand Sunstones and can move on to the final world, Royal Road. 6-1 starts by giving us the first sun. After some scary cannons that thankfully have nothing on their path, we can do another gyro puzzle to get the second stone. This game loves the gyroscope so damn much. The third stone is another don't let the gimmick break the chest one. 6-2 is very boring as it's just boss rematches. And a repeat of a sunstone puzzle that was literally in World 1. 6-3 is all about hypernova. This breakable block would have been scary if there were stars instead of food here. To get the first sun, some precarious platforming must be done around these stars in the way of the moving platform while keeping up the suckage. In the end, it's just barely obtainable, even after being put under a time limit. Raft jump scare! Raft ride never ends! There are in fact more stars in the way. This time, instead of being all bunched together, they are spread apart, requiring some speedy yet accurate jumps. Don't forget about damage boosting and actually needing all the health the game gives you. It would take a super duper gamer to actually get through this section without collecting point stars. Of course, I made it through, just like I did before. The end of the section gives us the second stone for basically free. The next is after this, synonyms for puzzle. Brain teaser. After Kirby absolutely decimates this tank, we somehow make it through the level without any point stars. 6-4 gives us a break with another boss rush? You already did 2 of these. At least put all the world bosses in one level. Why split it up? At least with 7-5, they put their creative muscles to work for a lengthy, pretty, and unique final stage. After the last fuse puzzle, we get the second sun. By barely making it down before the cannon helmet explodes, we can get the first one also. This part of the level is open-ended and I just happened to get them in the opposite order. This level gives us Hypernova again, and lets us eat all the mini-bosses in one hit. As a reward for eating all of them, we get the third sun. The fourth also requires us to one-shot all the bosses in the next area. At the end of the level, we get to brutally devour a tree. We did just unlock the final boss, but we also got an EX stage for the second time, so let's check that out first. In 6-7, we can get the first sunstone by avoiding this falling wall. To get to the next section, we have to do some roundabout jumps with a key, just in time before the platform retracts. We then have to go through this section of protruding and retracting platforms the wrong way, before coming across these stars. It doesn't seem like there's a way to get past these things. The maximum height jump won't get us over the top one, and if we throw the key we can't reclaim it in time before the platform retracts and drops it. Even with the most perfect low angle, minimum height without getting crushed jump, we still barely graze the rightmost star and collect it. It turns out I was just trying to go the wrong way and you can actually get past this section. To get the second sun, we have to use the star intangibility trick once more. And thankfully, there aren't any obstacles on the way out. After some mini-boss fights, the third stone is ours at the end of the level. World 6 is unique in that it actually has 2 EX stages, so the real final level, besides the boss, is 6-8. This level is mostly just fighting all of the Hypernova bosses again. The dragons don't make us get any stars because the way out spawns above the platform. We fight the pillar again, the possessing ghost, the eel guys that aren't bosses, the birds, and the mole. As the very last challenge in this run, we have to do the tapestry unraveling, but this time there are 4 jumps required instead of 2. The first one was giving me a lot of trouble for some reason. But I slowly got past the first one. Then the second. Then I got the third one on my first jump like a pro. And I finally got past the fourth one. This gives us the last sunstone and we can leave the level with 0 extra stars. With that, it's finally time to face off against the final set of bosses in Eternal Dreamland including Queen Sectonia herself. So, can you beat Kirby Triple Deluxe without point stars? No! To beat the game, it only took me 22 stars. I got 86 of the 100 sunstones, which I think is a good amount, especially since more than a few of those are hidden in EX stages we can't access. Here are my totals for each world. But anyway, since you watched until the end, consider leaving a like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. If you can do better with glitches or tool-assisted shots, tell me about it. I would love to hear it. Anyway, have a good one.